Morning, guys. Today I want to tell you everything I know about web authentication. So my favorite is the good old-fashioned HTTP basic auth, but most user agents have made a hash of that over the years, and I guess more importantly, user expectations don't really like that that basic auth dialogue. But there's a lot going for that basic auth, in my opinion. If it's done over SSL, it's secure. It's easy to log the username and log messages. So anyway, I end up doing authentication really quite complicated, in my opinion. There are like AWS answers like Cognito, but I find them really, really complex. Same for JSON Web Tokens. I find it really, really complex. So in the end, lately I've been just doing things like experiences like this, where it asks you to log in with your Gmail account or something like that, and then it identifies you, and then you can start making requests to some protected resource. So this demo here, if I can go back to the GitHub repo, this one is pretty damn complicated. You have to set up like a client ID in the Google console, which is an absolute nightmare. And then you need to set up like a trust association in AWS. And then typically the permissions are just too broad. For example, I've given this trust association a DynamoDB read access, which basically means you can read anything of my any of my personal DynamoDB databases and other things, like the CloudWatch and EC2 resources. And since it's a JavaScript app, I think you can, set breakpoints and basically do all sorts of things with this permission model. Ideally, the sort of my Google user, Kai Hendry, gets mapped to a particular policy in AWS that limits it to a particular table, but I have no idea how to do that. I don't even know if it's possible. If it is possible, please let me know, because I find this whole sort of Jamstack way of doing authenticated API calls to protected AWS resources pretty unsatisfying. So that's how you do it with JavaScript and Google. The next thing I wanted to show you is something that got 25 upvotes on Reddit Golang. It's a web application, but it's a server-side web application. And what it asks you to do is log into GitHub. It's just one click, and then you're logged in. And furthermore, it checks what organization you belong to. You actually can do this with Google Apps domain parameter, I think. There's a little link at the bottom there. But here I'm doing it all in the back end. And when everything's done in the back end, you obviously can have more control about the calls that are made to AWS, and you can do finer grained access. This is the only sane way of doing it, in my opinion. So have a look at that, and if it can be better, let me know. I asked that, saying, can it be better? Can it be simpler? I asked that to the Reddit community in Golang, and they did point me out to these sort of proxies that you can put in front of your web application. But since I don't run a proxy typically in front of my web application, I usually deploy my web application straight up using Apex App on Lambda serverless, and it's difficult to put a proxy in front of there, so I don't. So hence I need to implement something like this. But if you can, I guess that is a reasonable solution, to put a proxy in front of it so that you don't have to, already the source code is a bit convoluted, to be honest. But if you have the separate proxy, all the sort of authentication logic is in front there, and it doesn't mess around with the application. Can you do fine grained access with a proxy? Probably not. But who knows, maybe there's a way of passing, forwarding on a particular user string or something like that, and then having your web application act on that. So yeah, that's all I know about authentication, guys. Basic auth, wish it was that simple. Server-side, front-end style Jamstack. I don't know what the stuff is called, what the cool kids are calling this. I use this for internal apps or just for me rather, because I'm afraid of the permission stuff. And this approach is what I'm using of late with Apex Up and AWS Lambda deployments. Although the proxy thing is probably also a good idea. Please comment below. Please like the video. Thanks as usual for watching. Have a great week. Have a great week. Have a good week. Bye.